is streaming here. And we are almost live. Almost live. Partial live. It's that weird in between. It's a purgatory of live streaming. What's up, man? Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it.
Definitely appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation after our last intro call and learning a little bit more about what you're doing and what you've been leading the way on over the last few years. As a quick way to get started, give us a 60-second synopsis on your background and what led you to where you're at in your career today.
Yeah, so after I finished college, literally I've been working in food and beverage since while I was in school, and finished school, started working for a consulting engineering firm, primarily for food and beverage on the procurement and supply chain side. Worked with companies like Kraft, General Mills, other large staple brands, if you will, new R&D and innovative product of supply side. Moved from there, started my own company called Shaoli Inc. I was the founder and brought in all of our team members and built that company to quite a substantial foothold in the food and beverage technology space. And after then, have had a few odds and ends tech and consulting jobs with various distribution chains, such as Gordon Food Services, other hotel chains like Hilton Brands, and realized there was a real white space that needed to be filled. And because of that, started my own company by the name of PlanBased, a play on the word plant-based, but a plan, if you will. And that led us to where we are today.
Are you plant-based?
We try to eat vegetarian every now and again, but we enjoy our beef too. We don't discriminate on any type of edible substance.
I mean, you're in Austin, so you can't bypass the barbecue down there.
100%. Every day we eat barbecue.
Hell
breakfast,
yeah,
lunch, and dinner.
That's awesome, man. So what is it that keeps you around in the food and beverage industry? It's such a unique, complicated space to be in. It's not easy. What keeps you stuck? What keeps you around? What keeps you in that industry?
Yeah, I've taken, some steps outside and, changed my food and beverage experience into, say, like I worked in the telematics industry for a little bit or in automotive for a little bit, kind of doing the same thing, but I love the high speed of the food and beverage industry. One thing that definitely differentiates, a food and beverage professional from any other professional is that everything we have is perishable, right? It's in the automotive industry, no matter how many tires you buy, they're going to be okay on the shelf until the vehicle's out of spec or whatever have you. With food and beverage, in some instances, we're only good for 3 days. So I love the speed, the kind of like being a day trader, but within the consumable products industry.
Yeah, definitely. And that still applies with your current business. Is that speed, or is a little bit more longevity to it in the B2B distribution side of things?
Yeah, so as far as the business plan and strategy, that's definitely going to be a long-term goal, right? If anybody's looking for a quick fix to a problem, we're definitely not a solution. Our goals are usually 18 months to 2 years out, and that's the long-term piece. But once we get past the ideation and the strategy piece and start actually doing the boots on the ground hard work, if you will, those products are turning every 2 to 4 weeks, and they have to be off the shelf or else that's wasted revenue. And because we have a model where we purchase the product, that's our capital we're losing. So we got to be spot on with our projections inventory.
And there's a lot. What's changed most? What do people need to be aware of in being in the side of business that you are, the complicated side of the food business, pre-COVID and post-COVID era?
I think that, not much has changed, right? Every so many years, there's always going to be a major incident, whether it's a positive or negative to the food and beverage industry or market, right? Online ordering was a big disruptor for a while. Charlie, the company I created, kind of filled in that white space of getting orders from the consumer to the restaurant, right? Then there was negative downturns. Right now, one of them is the COVID-19, right? That's a big downturn in the economy. There will be major upswings and downswings in the future. The best advice that I have for any food and beverage brand is make sure whoever you partner with is agile enough to be able to pivot when those upswings or downswings happen, to be able to take advantage or be able to limit your loss, if that makes sense.
And what does that mean specifically? Pivot? How do you make sure your partners pivot quick enough? What do you need to be observant of when you're doing business with other large restaurant retailers, food distributors?
I think one of the big things that, you need to be aware of is like, well, what is their e-commerce plan? What is their, food service retail plan? I'm not going to name any distribution names, but I've worked with a lot of them through either consulting or indirect partnerships. And they don't have a e-commerce retail, a B2B that's dropship. They don't have a plan for helping you grow, right? They want to take in products that already have generated revenue and continue to push them down the same channels that exist. Our goal is to figure out kind of like an A/B testing, if you're familiar with marketing and planning on revenue channels. And we A/B test for products, whether it's through e-commerce or retail or food service, and figure out where you're going to get the best bang for your buck, and then be able to generate more sales through those channels. So we're limiting the amount a company is spending to produce the maximum return on investment. So if your partner isn't willing to pivot when things go south or pivot when things go north, then it's probably, time to look for a new partner.
Yeah. And so when you say e-commerce, you're talking B2B e-commerce, or literally A/B testing through what the consumers are demanding and using that as a formula to know how to run your B2B transactions?
Well, I'm talking about both, right? So a perfect example from a B2B perspective is that because of the limited amount of on-premise dining, everything has been turned to off-premise. About 70% of all dining is turned to off-premise, and as well as retail. People are ordering grocery to be delivered or be picked up. Your B2B plan has to include some type of dropship program, not because of it needs to go to the consumer, but because a restaurant doesn't need to order a truckload of steak or can't hit a minimum number of tortillas or whatever have you, right? So there's going to be a solution where your provider has to be able to meet your needs. And right now, a restaurant's needs or a grocery store's needs aren't a minimum of 10 cases of any product. They may need just one case. That's a dropship B2B e-commerce solution that we can send them one case of a product that makes sense for now, right? And when volumes ramp back up, we'll pivot into being able to do truckloads of product. Same with e-commerce, right? Maybe a partner is really good at moving it into retail, but right now consumers are becoming really comfortable with ordering online and having it drop shipped to their house. COVID-19 forced them to be able to be comfortable with this. And so your distribution provider needs to be able to have a solution for that. Can they drop ship? Can they fulfill orders? Those are things that we are able to pivot in, right? And this solution will change, but we want to make sure that we change with it when it does happen again.
I think I lost you on camera too, by the way. Not sure if lost the feed there, but
yeah, I see that too. It's
we're just all of the tech issues we're going to run into today. Might as well just get them out of the way for one after another.
Let's blame it on the virus.
Yeah, definitely, it's a virus, man. Yeah, so this is all interesting and probably mysterious to a lot of people, and you've this is no mystery that you've had some success. Like you have already exited a number of other businesses before that you had built. What did you do? First off, what I'd like to know is what were some of the bigger mistakes that you made in the beginning in building your brand in this space, and what are some of the recommendations you maybe give to yourself 5 years ago that you acquired now as knowledge, but maybe didn't have prior?
Yeah, I think one of the big things that I've learned is trying to be cheap in the beginning in order to save money when it's going to cost you money in the long term, right? Every decision I make now is a long-term decision, even if that's at the expense of my own financial gain, right? So personally, I want to make sure that I am able to take care of, my wife, my kids, my family, whatever have you. But I'm making sure that there's a long-term solution and plan for what I'm doing. And I'm not just choosing things that are, advantageous or cheap right now. They're going to have a long-term goal. Another thing is, appreciate the partnerships. I don't like to lose relationships now, over nickel and diming 5-10%, when I know the future holds a much bigger bounty for everyone. So understanding who the partnerships are that can help me get me to the end result, appreciating those partnerships is a big thing. And then the last thing is, one thing I did always ask more what I can do for you, right? When I was very young, obviously, starting a company, I was focused on how can you help me, and, staying in that lane of, well, here's what we can offer. Now I'm more of the, what can we do for each other so every party feels that they're gaining something positive from the relationship.
Yeah, it's kind of a young. It's easy when you're young and kind of like new into business development. What's in it for me? What can you do for me? Do you want to buy from me? And it sounds like what you've recognized and has contributed to your success, if I'm encompassing this well enough, is much more the collaboration approach, much more, synergistically, how can we mutually benefit? And something you've also mentioned to me is like really treating your customers' money like it is your own, treating your clients' money like it is your own. People talk about that and they say it, but what do you do to actually implement that?
Yeah, I think our biggest thing is transparency, right? If you partner with our company and you choose us and you trust us to carry your brand, one thing, I can tell you that we understand how important this is, but that's just lip service, right? I'm not saying anything different than any other brand is saying. But the way we show you that is I give you full transparency. We have portals, apps that are available on mobile devices. So you not only see, POs that are being placed when we need more product, but you also see where it's going, where it's being housed, who's buying it, who we're talking to, if we're partnering with brokerages, where they are, who they're talking to as well. You can see, future projections, right? You can see projected sales revenue. We even give you, when we manage your e-commerce solution, you are the admin on that e-commerce store. So everything we're doing is literally trying to set up a business for success. We also don't sign exclusivity contracts. If we're doing our job the right way, you'll want to work with us. You won't need a forcible reason to make sure that you're not working with anybody else. Those are things that we've done. And through my experience of working with food and beverage for a long time, that's our big differentiator, is that the transparency and the data that you own is not our own.
Love it. In a second, I'm going to ask you about some of the additional strategies that you would recommend to sell into the food business. But before I do, those of you watching live right now, watching the live stream, if you want the full episode, make sure you go check out B2B Mentors, all your favorite podcast apps. Go to activeblogs.com. You can also check it out there. Again, B2B Mentors or activeblogs.com.